Today, I'm going to take you through the 2013 Spanish sci-fi thriller, The Last Days. Spoilers ahead, so buckle up. In 2013, a mysterious epidemic spreads across the world, causing people to develop an irrational fear of going outside. The moment they step out, they die almost instantly. Cities and towns everywhere turn into wastelands, abandoned and silent. Mark Delgado, our main character, has been trapped in his workplace for 3 months, surviving on cafeteria food and working with his coworkers to dig a passage through the parking lot to reach the subway. One day, Mark notices a car window has been smashed to steal a GPS. Anger surges through him, pushing him to dig harder. Ironically, his aggression pays off as they finally break through the wall and discover a safe path out. As preparations to leave continue, Mark spots his boss Enrique with a stolen GPS and decides to follow him. Enrique agrees to talk privately as long as Mark keeps it a secret. Mark begins to recall how he first met Enrique. Months earlier, Enrique was hired to fix productivity issues at their company. He was ruthless, firing employees without hesitation. When he called Mark to his office, he scolded him for slow progress, ignored the challenges of programming, and issued an ultimatum: finish the project by month's end or lose his job. Mark worked late into the night, frustrated every time his code failed. That evening, Mark's girlfriend Julia called to tell him she and her friend Andrea were closing their shop. He promised to join her for dinner, but his computer crashed. By the time he got home, he found Julia making toys for her shop and mentioning the idea of having a baby. He said it wasn't the right moment. Later, he couldn't sleep and watched the news about a Canadian teenager who had recorded his suicide after 6 months of not leaving his house. At work the next day, everyone watched the same clip, causing Mark's coworker Rivera to nervously leave the area. Mark notices he hasn't showered or changed clothes in days. Back in the present, Mark tells Enrique he wants to find Julia and the GPS is the only way to navigate the subway tunnels. He offers Enrique a deal: guide him to Julia in exchange for all the supplies taken from Rivera's locker. Enrique initially refuses, but relents when Mark threatens to expose the stolen GPS. Together, they descend into the subway tunnels. They rely on a map to save GPS battery, but the tunnels are already crowded with survivors. Gunshots echo as they hurry to a station packed wall to wall. A teenager steals Enrique's bag with the GPS, sparking a chase through the station. The boy joins 3 men, one of whom is a former cop armed with a gun. As the city loses power, Enrique fights the cop while Mark recovers the GPS, now cracked. They manage to escape into the crowd as darkness envelops the station. Stopping to tend to Enrique's hand, they check the GPS. It still works. Mark recalls life before the lockdown, discovering a neighbor who hadn't left his apartment in months, Rivera dying after being dragged outside, and finding survival supplies in his locker. Back then, the pandemic, dubbed the Panic, had already started consuming the world. Mark and Enrique journey through sewers and encounter a family in need, but rumors spread that Enrique's father's hospital burned down. Distraught, Enrique attempts to jump from a building, but Mark stops him. Enrique, accepting his fate, gives Mark seeds for his future child and urges him to keep moving. Mark finally reaches the mall, searching desperately for Julia, only to find Andrea. She informs him that Julia is trapped in a barricaded supermarket section. Mark navigates the chaos as rival groups fight for supplies. Andrea dies in a fire, and Mark is attacked by a raider. Enrique intervenes, saving him and sparing a child assailant. They escape the mall and follow a secret tunnel into a movie theater, spotting Julia's doctor's office across the street. Using sheer determination, Mark calls out to her, finally reuniting with Julia. Mark checks on Enrique, who's bleeding and knows his time has come. Enrique's last words urge Mark to reunite with his family. Mark and Julia cross the dangerous streets while he crawls through pain, but finally reaches her safely. They settle in a new building, collecting rainwater and planting Enrique's seeds. Their son grows healthy and fearless, venturing outside despite the panic. Years later, wandering teenagers arrive at their door. Mark and Julia let their son join them, giving him a chance to explore the outside world and perhaps rebuild society from scratch. The Last Days leaves us with a haunting yet hopeful vision. Even in the face of fear and chaos, love, determination, and humanity endure.